Good afternoon, everybody, or early evening. It's 5:15 on the 13th of July, my wife's birthday. Sorry about the phone wiggling around. I'm not holding it right. She is currently in the Delbert Day Center again, doing round 2 of her radiation treatment on the femur and lower spine region. They're doing a double duty on her. Basically, every time she comes in until Monday, excluding the weekend, in other words, she won't have to worry about it on Saturday and Sunday, but they're basically zapping her back and her leg at the same time. The only difference is she has to transfer from one machine for her back to another machine for her leg. But here's the good news, folks. Yes, good news. I love good news, especially on my wife's birthday. We had gone to St. Louis this morning to see her doctors for her leg, and they did x-rays. And the doctor said, well, your leg is looking really good. We don't want you to get up and start running around, but you can now graduate to a walker. So she won't have to worry about a wheelchair no more, which will be great because then she can get around the house a whole lot easier on that walker, except for the bathroom. She has to kind of turn the walker sideways to get through the bathroom door. But she does not have to have the commode. Well, let's just put it this way. The commode does not have to really stay in the bedroom. It can go back to where it was underneath the window. But she wants to have the commode for emergencies. In other words, she knows she's not going to be able to make it to the bathroom. The only downside of this, thank God, is she still has to wear that crazy brace until the doctors say otherwise after her doing her spine. She was telling her doctor in St. Louis, and I don't want to mention names because I don't want to get her in trouble, that once the x-rays show that the spine is healing, they can get her out of that brace. That and next week, I think it's next week, don't hold me to that. I don't know if it's next week or not. But within the next week or so, let's just say next week or so, she's going to go back onto her chemotherapy without the immunotherapy until they can figure out what could have caused problems with her surgical wounds and back issues. So they want to do the chemo, but they want to hold off on the immunotherapy until they can figure out what's going on. And once they start the immunotherapy, she will sorry, I'm watching the door. She will be doing the immunotherapy once they think it's okay. But they're going to monitor that very closely so they don't have a relapse of her opening up old sores and surgical scars and having all kinds of different rashes on her body or whatnot because of the the immuno. But we are having a good day. Hold on one second. Yes, baby. Can you hear me? Yeah, I'm here. Do you want me to pull up to the door? All right, I'll pull up to the door. You're welcome. Bye. All right, I will continue this when I get home. But it's a good day. Yay! Good evening, everybody. Let me just adjust my camera a little bit. Sorry, I should have done that before hitting record. At this time, Diane and her bestie, Sharon, are spending time chatting it up, which gives me the time to escape the bedroom to record something. There is a beginning half of this, or a beginning bit of this that I'll try to add in. But what I was saying in the beginning part was we got back from St. Louis. We had to take her over to the local doctor at the Delbert Day Center for her radiation treatment. And of course, Sharon had a couple gifts for her. I had a couple packages for her that arrived while we were in St. Louis. So, and not all the packages I ordered for her are have arrived. So I'm waiting for those. According to the tracker, it should be here. Some of them should be here before 9 p.m. I think all the ones that said that were going to be here have arrived. There's a couple more that's supposed to arrive tomorrow and Friday. So I'm kind of happy because I wanted to do that. I wanted to try to stretch her birthday out. And the reason why I planned it that way was in case we got bad news from her doctor in St. Louis. Thankfully, as I said in the beginning of the first section that hopefully I'll remember to put on here, that the doctor has given her full permission to put some weight, not full weight, on her right leg with a walker, so she doesn't have to use the wheelchair no more. The wheelchair will be for like emergencies or times when she's just too weak to use a walker. But I'm thinking the times that she might be too weak to use just a walker will be the times that she's getting done with her radiation treatment the next couple of days. And I can always borrow a bariatric or plus size wheelchair from the Delbert Day Center to wheel her out to the car, and then I'll worry about how to get her into the house once we're home. But we're all excited that the doctor gave her such good news on her birthday, out of all days, to receive such great news, her birthday. I think the universe was, hey, it's time for her to start walking. I mean, I can say it was God's will. I can say it was a universal phenomenon because of where today is also the height of a full moon, what they call the buck moon. So it's supposed to be like a super moon or something like that, which is kind of like, okay, stars are aligning, depending on what you want to go for. I mean, I say it's between all the good things that we've been trying to do and God's will alone. Her positivity, God's will, all the prayers that all the viewers that like us or who want to pray for us have prayed. She's not out of the woods. She's still gotta do radiation treatment on her leg and spine. She still has to wear that brace if she's up for long periods of time. So I'm like, yay. So I'm ecstatic. I know she's very happy. She's happy not just because of the fact of the news from the doctor, but her bestie Sharon is in town for her birthday. Give me 1 second. I'm looking for something, and I probably misplaced it. Yeah, a clipper. I've got a really hard cuticle that I want to remove before it irritates me. Sorry, I'm setting up a timer, and hopefully, I gotta test this timer that I got. Jerry got a box of what they call fidgets. They're like a bunch of fidget toys for people like me who have attention deficit disorder or anxiety. And those fidget toys are just items like fidget spinners and a few other weird looking like squeeze balls or anything like that. I have to pull out the ones that I think I'm going to keep for myself just because, they're fun to play with and they keep me kind of focused. One of them is this little thing. It's an actual oil timer, and I don't know how long it takes. I have to one day set up an actual timer to time how long that takes. But I'm setting that up so I can try not to go too far, too long. But I think it's more for goofing off with. But Sharon's here until early Monday morning. So what we're going to end up doing is Sunday. We have a one night stay at a hotel near St. Louis. That way we don't have to get up at the butt crack of dawn and drive Sharon all the way to St. Louis to the airport and whatnot. Sharon drove home today. Give me a break because I didn't sleep that well last night. I was too, I don't want to say agitated because that would be the wrong word. but more like a combination of, that's a very short timer, combination of anxiety and anxiousness for the doctor's reports and what the doctors have to tell Jerry, and all that fun stuff. So that kind of kept me awake. I had debated on taking some Benadryl or some sort of sleep aid, but I listened to Deity's live last night, and I participated in it, of course. I don't know why Deity's moderators decided to bump my mom off the conversation. I have a feeling because there's been issues with other people trying to imitate my mom, which irritated me the most when I found out about it. There's already been a number of people, and I don't know if there's any real people out there who are trying to pretend to be Jerry Ann, but there's a couple of people who have been called Jerry Ann just because of their, I guess, knowledge of what's going on here with Jerry Ann, or their method of typing or wording or whatever it is. I don't know. But there's only one Jerry Ann. There's only one Jim Henson or James Henson. Well, shouldn't say that. Jerry Ann has a very, very unique name. I don't think there's very many other people with the same spelling or anything like that of her first name. Unfortunately, my name, James D. Henson, I'm not going to tell my middle name, is kind of a common name, especially here in Missouri for some reason. And there's been one or two accusations of, I don't know, people faking, pretending to be me with a different name, or a report that happened back in 2008 of somebody with the same initials or same name as me having a record of one form or another. And I'm like, well, first off, 2008, which if I can go back to my old pay stubs, will prove that I was living and working in New York at the time. I came back to Missouri back in 2010 before her father passed away, or either before or right around the time her father passed away, to hopefully get a job and establish an income so Jerry can move out here without a major concern of where's our finances going to come from. But man upstairs had other ideas, and I ended up going back to New York and staying with Jerry Ann in New York until around 2013, after Superstorm Sandy occurred, and the Red Cross, it was either Red Cross or some other group like that, were offering to assist anybody who was in what they called the red line, below the red line, where your house was damaged or destroyed. Red Cross was offering assistance to anybody who wanted to move out of the area, and we took advantage of that. Granted, they did not pay as much as we thought they were going to pay, because they had a limitation of how much they were willing to help you financially to move out of the area, because a lot of the people who were moving out of the area, whether they were moving upstate or north of the red line, were only moving a short distance. Jerry Ann and I were moving halfway across the country, but they paid the major bulk of it. We just had to pay for storage of our property, and I can't remember what else we ended up having to pay, but that was out of our pocket. And that's that story from what Deity and Trish, I think her name was talking about. Mom said she had some information for me. I guess she went to the courthouse to figure out certain things, because one of the other things that were mentioned about this house was a couple liens that were against this house, and we were like, well, the only lien we know about is our mortgage. So she had to go to the courthouse to figure it out and get it cleared up, or where we can understand it and talk to you guys about it. So I'm happy that Mom did that while we were in St. Louis. I hope it didn't cost anything. A lot of people say you can get public records for whatever dirt cheap. I know there's a couple websites that you can look up information about people, their homes, their background for $26 or so at certain websites. Because I did try to look up my history, my past, to see if there was anything of interest in there, and I thought it was free too, but no, you have to pay a price for it. I talked to, after yesterday, or during yesterday's live session with Diane. I'm just going to call her Diane. It's easier to remember that name. I have a cousin by the name of Diane who lives out in California. But Diane and Trish were asking questions, and some of the questions they repeated from the viewers or the people who were talking to them, because I could not keep up with the conversations or the text coming through. Sometimes I couldn't even keep up with Diane and Trish, because I don't have typing. I'm not a typist. I'm not a transcriptionist or anything like that. My typing skills really suck, and voice to text sometimes on my phone is a little screwy. So it's kind of like, and people were wondering how was it my spelling got so much better, because I was using proper punctuations, and that was because of the fact that I was trying to type. Sometimes when I'm talking to text, it's just a run-on sentence. It's just literally, I don't have any punctuations. I just keep on going. Because I don't think about the punctuations while I'm talking, because sometimes it's in your speech or the way you talk. You can tell where there's a period, or where there's supposed to be a comma or exclamation point, or any of those things. I do agree with my cousin Pam. I thought it went well, because a lot of things were getting answered to the best of my ability. We actually talked about getting together as a family plus one, to do a live session on Friday or Saturday. I gotta sit down with everybody tomorrow and figure it out, because Sharon wants to be able to put her 2 cents in, because she has known Jerry Ann since childhood, basically. So that would be interesting. But I am slightly concerned about doing it as a family. Mom's even willing to sit there and put her 2 cents in. How do I put this? Well, I know Jerry has her New York attitude and whatnot that comes out. And anybody who's of a Latino background, whether it's Puerto Rican or South American or or Mexican, or any of those places, Sharon is from Long Island, New York originally, and her family is of Latina or Latino background, Latin American background. Let's just say Latin American background. That way it's not as rude. So she can be a little bit of a spitfire. And at first I was like, okay, it's just going to be me and Mom. And then Jerry goes, no, I think I want to be in it. And then Sharon was like, no, I want to be in it too. And I was just kind of like, okay, I got to figure out how I'm going to set this up, because I'm going to have to set up my camera. or something like that to capture all of us in the living room while each of us is looking at our tablet, reading the text and whatnot. I'm usually the one that does that, but I think with 4 pairs of eyes looking at the information coming up on our screens, it might be better. I just don't want it to go out of control and have to. I really don't want to block anybody or remove anybody. I'd rather put you in timeout if you're getting a little too rude. That's one of the things that I'm like. I'm bringing my mom into a situation where it could get heated, especially if Jerry Ann and Sharon are in there and they start going bonkers. But I can tell you that Sharon especially will not have a filter. But I don't know. It really depends. But that aside, I had a lot of people saying that they were very interested in what I've been reading lately on Nordic history and cultural customs and of that nature. So I want to do a quickie on that. We're going to get into, a section that I don't remember wearing, or wearing, and it's called the contingency plans. And this is also part of the wedding section, but it's contingency plans. It may come as a surprise to some, but Scandinavian women could divorce their husbands at their pleasure, unlike most other cultures of the time. Divorced women kept their dowries and could rely on their birth families to help them if the husband was slow with the annulment, or alimony. Took me a second to read that word. Although men could have concubines among slaves or other lower class, adultery was taken very seriously. The German monk Adam of Bremen reported that men could be executed for adultery or rape of a virgin, and women could be sold into slavery as punishment for cheating. I'm not a big person. Divorce to me is just like inconceivable. 2, the idea of violently taking another person's virtue. Well, let's just put it as virtue. Yeah, I would want to punish somebody who did that. But the idea of being executed, men being executed for adultery or rape, I can think of other ways of punishment than that. I mean, the Romans used to basically turn adulterous or rapists into eunuchs, which basically means they got castrated. As for selling a woman into slavery as a punishment for cheating, well, I don't know, because, I mean, slavery is not something I like. The word slavery is just one of those, that's been used way too many times throughout history for something that did not need to happen, let alone the people or peoples that were turned into slaves because of one thing or another. Is just, I don't like that. The whole equal rights for all peoples, this whole thing that's been going on for decades, maybe 100 years or so here in America, with African people being put into slavery and brought over here and forced to do work that was dangerous or hard, or just the treatment of them alone was just no. I'm not into that. I know I've said many different things that might be considered by other people a racist or derogatory comment, but you have to look at where the comment came from originally. It was literally the one that everybody's been circling around for the last couple of days is the fact that somebody said something to me that just made me kind of go, really? You're saying that about me? And I used the words, I shortened the term, yo, Kettle, you're black. That was not a racist comment. That was an old school comment, basically saying, oh, really, you're calling me, stupid, or you're calling me lazy, or you're calling me, whatever. It's kind of like, really, you're saying that to me? What about you? A lot of people I see on here spend way too much time trolling through YouTube to find what seems to be, somebody who's very happy or doing something that they love or they're proud of, and jumping on their channel and just trying to find ways to tear them down, to make them feel guilty of themselves, or think that their pride and joy of their crafting and whatnot isn't worth it. And I'm just kind of like, really, okay, you're taking so much time to watch other people's videos so you can, make them feel small, because I don't know, maybe you're small, and maybe you feel small on your own terms, that your life is so miserable that you have to bring other people down to your level. So me calling another person out by saying, yo, Kettle, you're black, has nothing to do with their skin tone. It has to do with their laziness. That if they're calling me lazy, they must be lazy too. But anyhow, I'm not going to get into it because you guys can think wherever you want. I know where it comes from. I know because of my childhood in the military that I have no problem with any skin tone, any race, creed, culture, whatever. I don't have any problem with them unless they're doing something to me that causes me to have the problem. And then I'm not going to be, jumping all over them and trying to belittle them because there's something about them I don't like. No. Let them be happy. If being a Mormon or a Krishna or a Buddhist or a Muhammad or any of those other religions, and it makes them happy, that's fine and dandy. They can be anything they want to be, as long as it's not hurting anybody. If it starts to hurt people, then yeah, we might want to question it. And the Muslims, yeah, okay, a lot of Muslims have gotten a bad rap because of that few select group of Muslims that want to cause problems for everybody. But anyhow, down here there's a section about marrying a widow. In the Lex Stella saga, we meet a Norwegian-born woman, Unn, UNN, I don't know how you'd pronounce that one, the Deep-Minded, that was her title. Her name and title, Unn the Deep-Minded, who engineers her whole family's secret escape from Scotland after her son is murdered, and who strikes an immense land claim as an early settler in Iceland. Throughout the saga, she takes charge the way a male head of household would. Disturbingly distributing land to her followers, freeing slaves, and arranging marriages for her grandchildren. Oh, Merry Widow, not marrying a widow. I'm sorry, Merry Widow is the title of that little piece. Forgive me, I'm sorry. Sometimes I have to backtrack after reading something to go, okay, the title didn't make sense. I have to reread the title. Anyhow, moving along. Widowhood offered some compensation, including retaining the wealth and property of the husband. If they wished to remarry, widows could choose their own mates without a guardian's approval. So that's something interesting, that if back then, if a woman were to be widowed, husband died during a raid or some other form of death, most of the time most men would prefer to die on the field of battle and not laying in their beds. That was how they thought back then. That if she chose to, she can, not only does she get to keep everything that was her husband's, she keeps the land, all the property, all the people that worked for them, basically, were still under her name, under her I don't want to say ownership, but under her guide, or guidance. And if she found somebody that she felt was worthy of her attention or love or anything like that, she could remarry without having to go through the whole getting permission from a guardian of her family. And if he was accepted by her, he didn't have to get any kind of permission from a guardian, because most of the time, let's say, I hate to use this, especially after such great news, let's say something were to happen to me, not Jerry, but me. I pass away, whether it's a car accident, an illness, doesn't matter what, but let's say I passed away before she did. She gets everything I own, basically everything that's under our name. And this is excluding the house, because the house is under Mom's name. But she basically gets everything I own. She can decide what to do with it. And if, for some reason, she decides that she finds another person who she's infatuated with, and vice versa, and they decide to get married, if we were living back then, she wouldn't have to worry about asking Mom. Well, since Mom was the only parent left between the two of us, she wouldn't have to worry about asking Mom if she can get remarried to another person. But the thing is, because the house is Mom's, Mom can decide, well, yeah, you can get remarried, but you can't stay here. I want to downsize, I want to move on, whatever. Assuming Mom is still with us. It's not that I'm not ready for Mom to pass away, but I would like Mom to be here with us for as long as God graces us with her presence. But yeah, I'm gone. I'm passed away. Jerry can do whatever she wants. Even back then, she would be a widow. She would own everything I have. If we had a house of our own and a nice piece of land or anything like that, whatever, in this day and age, if we were to use the old school Norse way of living, if Jerry found another person, she can go run with him. That's up to her. There's a lot of customs, now that I've been reading through this book, there's a lot of customs from back then that are still here today. The only difference about then and today is the courtship period is longer, as long as the couple needs to take before Hopefully he pops the question. They can go live out on their own together, even not married. Even, some people don't like that idea, but it's the modern day times. I mean, there's a lot of couples out there that have been together 5, 6, 7, 8 years or more, and they just go, yeah, we don't feel like getting married. We like being together, but we just don't think we need to tie the knot. Of course, that might be because they don't have kids, but once they have kids, well, things could change. He could go, oh, yeah, I gotta marry you. I mean, I can't have these kids without a legitimate father, on paperwork. Or, God forbid, he goes, I can't handle this chaos with these kids and the diapers and the toys and all this stuff all over the house, and take off, which I would be, if I was the guy's father, I'd be like, no. You help bring that thing in the world. Sorry, didn't mean to say thing. You brought the little one in the world, you gotta help take care of it. That's just me. But I mean, I'll be honest with you. I wish that between my health issues and her health issues, I wished before I got this old, like 20 years ago, shortly after we got married, that we could have had a child or two of our own. But genetics, health issues, whatever, God's decision, whatever, we never got the chance to be parents. We had thought about it at one point in time of being foster parents, where, taking care of kids, watching over them until either they got adopted, or maybe we would adopt the kid ourselves, depending on how we felt, how they felt. I mean, I watched a lot of Instagram and TikTok videos where the last one I watched was the girl was about 11 years old. The father was military. I don't know if he was retired or not, but I saw him sitting with her on her birthday in his greens, his fatigues. And one of the last presents that he gave her was a vanilla envelope, like a business envelope. And she was like, what's this? And he was like, open it. She opened it, and I guess she didn't even read it. She just opened it and went, what's this? And he was like, read it. And it literally said, documentation of adoption. He had already signed it, but he basically said, I'm not going to force this. But if you want to be my daughter, you want to be our daughter, basically him and I guess a spouse. And she was like, yes. She was getting all teary-eyed and excited and whatnot. And he goes, well, hold on, before you go jumping into it, and you got to really think about it. And if you really want to do, all you have to do is sign on the dotted line. Sign on the line right underneath my name. And she was like, just give me a pen. I want a pen. Where's the pen? She's, like going frantic looking for a pen. He was like, I've got one right here. And I mean, granted, she was 11. I don't know when they took her in as a foster child. But nobody was taking her as an adoption. And I guess they decided, she's been such a good girl. We've had, great time. Enjoyed raising her, enjoyed playing with her, enjoyed all the things that parents should enjoy with their children. And she wanted to be their fan with that, as their daughter. I've seen a couple of them like that, and it's moving, because you're actually giving a child that you might have had in your home for an extended period of time a family. And that's one of the things about, adopting is, like, it's great to adopt, because a lot of these children who are in the system to be adopted, if they don't get adopted, oh, I just got a low battery warning. If they don't get adopted, as soon as they turn 18, they get kicked out of the system. They're basically out on their own, you know, to do whatever. But anyhow, the next section of this book that I will try to get into tomorrow, depending on how busy we are, what's going on, is called Sports, or Games and Sports. And they show like skis made out of wooden plank, a wood plank of some sort. But anyhow, we'll get into that tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoyed my videos. I really enjoy doing them for you. Depending on what's going on this weekend, we may be doing a live session sometime Saturday, most likely, because Sunday we have to go back into St. Louis to take Sharon to the airport Monday morning. So until then, I hope you guys enjoy. Bye.